Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I have been in a reading slump for as long as I can remember. For the two of you maybe who are here from when I started this channel, literally like 5 or 6 years ago, I went to university to do a literature degree and totally fell out of love with books. That said, my New Year's resolution in 2021 is to get back into reading, to rekindle that love for it, and so I thought what better way to do that than just buy a ton of books. So yeah, I thought it would be really fun to do a book haul based on what I've bought. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the first book that I bought was An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I know this has been out for a little while, but I've not read it yet. Honestly, I didn't even know Hank had written a book until a friend of mine told me about it. They said that anyone who had some sort of presence on the internet or life on the internet in the era that we did ought to read it. If ever anything was gonna make me buy a book and give it a read, it's that sentiment. Like, I have been super nostalgic about YouTube and online communities and things recently. Like, it was such a big part of my growing up, and then I left it behind for years. And now I'm trying to sort of find my way back to a community where that's rekindled for me. So this felt like a no-brainer for me to buy. So the synopsis is that in New York at 3 a.m, April May stumbles across a giant sculpture, like a 10-foot tall transformer wearing a suit of samurai armor. Together with her best friend Andy, she names it Carl and films a quick YouTube video. The next day, April wakes up to a viral sensation and a new life. Carls have appeared in dozens of cities around the world, and April seizes the opportunity to become their international spokesperson. She gains an army of followers, but is being famous really worth putting her relationships, her safety, and even her own identity at risk? Now all eyes are on April to figure out not just what the Carls are, but what they want from us, before it's too late. So I can see the whole online presence aspect of it, but also obviously there's an element of adventure and mystery and impending doom. What they want from us sounds quite enigmatic. All in all, it's pretty short, and I've consumed a lot of Hank's content over the years, and his content tends to be quite easy to consume, so for someone who's been in like a 6-year reading slump, this feels like a good book for me to start with, particularly given what I've said about this nostalgia around online content creation and community and stuff. So I'm excited to dive into this. I'm pretty sure there's a sequel as well, which I will end up buying if I like the first one. As always, if you've read it, let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll jump into the next book. So up next we've got Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez, which was described to me as a space opera, which, given that's how Star Wars is described often, that was a no-brainer for me. I was like, immediately, yes, I will pick this up. The synopsis is: the crew of La Sirena Negra delivers small cargo for even smaller profits. When her sister is kidnapped, Captain Eva Innocente must undergo a series of dangerous missions to pay the ransom. But Eva may lose her mind before she can raise the money. The ship's hold is full of psychic cats, an amorous emperor wants her dead, and her engineer is giving her pesky case of feelings. To free her sister, Eva will risk everything, her crew, her ship, and the life she's built, on the ashes of her past misdeeds. So it sounds like there's a lot going on, and with the backdrop of space, it's always exciting. I've actually not read much sci-fi. As far to sci-fi as I've got is probably just like fantasy and dystopian stuff, so I'm excited for something that's all out, set in space. That should be a cool, different dynamic for me to jump into. Just the list of psychic cats, an emperor who wants her dead, and feelings for her engineer, whilst her sister is ransomed. It sounds like there's so much going on. I'm really excited to give that a read. Again, if you've read it, please let me know what you thought in the comments, and let's jump on to the next one. I picked up Chain of Gold, which has some fluff in it. I don't really know why I picked it up. The thing is, I massively loved the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices. But I got to the Dark Artifices, and I spent about a year trying to read Lady Midnight, and I found it such a drag. There was just a whole lot of it that just didn't really hit for me. Like, it just missed the mark, and so it took me a year to read Lady Midnight, and I've picked up Lord of Shadows about 10 times to try reading. I've downloaded the audiobook to try getting through it that way. Every time I stopped, I was just never inclined to go back. I actually think I've used Lord of Shadows more as a tripod, which I'm doing right now, than as a book I want to read. So I thought that once she had written The Dark Artifices, Cassandra Clare was done with the Shadowhunters series. Obviously I was wrong. She's got another one that's like coming out in maybe a week or two, so I thought I'd pick this up, and maybe having this on my shelf would convince me to finish The Dark Artifices, fall back in love with the universe, and then jump back into this one. It might end up being a waste of money, not confident it'll work, but that was the plan anyway. If you stuck with the Shadowhunter series, please let me know what you thought of the Dark Artifices, of Chain of Gold, and if you're excited for the new one. And the final physical book that I've bought to get me back into reading is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. Now, I don't know a lot about this, but I've heard it was really highly anticipated. And as somebody who loved dystopian YA, like with Divergent and The Hunger Games, The Maze Runner, City of Bones, all that sort of YA stuff, this sounded like it would potentially rekindle my love for the genre. The strapline is Hunt or Be Hunted. It's in a modern day New York, a murderous game about to begin. The Aegon, every 7 years, for 1 week only, Zeus punishes the gods and makes them mortal. Forced to walk the earth, they are savagely hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines who are eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality. After her family was brutally murdered by a rival line, Lore Perseus fled, turning her back on the Aegon's cruel promises of eternal glory. For years, Lore has honoured her parents' memory by doing one thing: surviving. For years, she has pushed away dark thoughts of revenge. Until now. As the new game dawns, Lore finds Athena gravely wounded on her doorstep. The goddess offers her an alliance against their mutual enemy and a way to leave the Aegon behind forever. But Lore's decision to rejoin the hunt will come at a deadly cost, and may not be enough to stop the rise of a new god with the power to destroy all of humanity. So it sort of sounds like The Purge meets Percy Jackson, almost. Either way, I'm really excited to sink into this. I've not heard that much from people who have read it. I don't think it's been out very long, so I'm going to jump into this one as well, and I'm really excited by that. So those are the physical books that I've bought to put on my shelf and hopefully get me back into reading. I've also got a couple on the Kindle, which you probably can't see because it's so bright. So I picked up The Lies of Locke Lamora and also The Fellowship of the Ring. I've always wanted to read The Lord of the Rings properly. We dissected the hell out of it at university, and I think that's a big part of why I fell out of love with reading. So I want to just get through The Lord of the Rings, particularly because it's one of my favourite film series, and I want to read it. I've also got The Lies of Locke Lamora because I've heard it's got a very similar vibe to it. I've heard great things, I read the synopsis and it sounded really exciting. I'm going to really have to sink some time into that one, so I've put it on the back burner for now. Whilst I read Love and Other Words, because it's almost Valentine's Day. It's a soppy romance novel, which I love. I'm such a sucker for love stories. I'm really enjoying it. I'm about halfway through. Should finish it well in advance of Valentine's Day. Hopefully it gives me some ideas for how to be a good Valentine. Just a little update. I recorded this before Valentine's Day. I'm now editing it afterwards. Finished it in time. Didn't really give me any ideas, but Valentine's Day was still lovely anyway. I'll probably do a review of that soon. Let's get back to it. So yeah, that is the end of my book haul. I'm sure I'll buy plenty more, so I'll do another one. I've set myself the task of reading 50 books by the end of the year. So far, I'm off track, because that averages at, 4 books a month, and I've read 1.5, and we're 6 weeks into the year, so I need to really get a move on. Got any suggestions based off what I've just told you that I like the sound of? Please leave them in the comments below. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you can find the links to those in the description box, as well as my Twitch link. I've started to do some read-alongs where I read on Twitch and we talk about what we're reading. Quite a nice vibe, especially with the pandemic and lockdown, it's nice to just have some company while you're doing things. I just miss libraries and company and stuff, so that Twitch idea felt like a good stopgap. The link to that anyway will be in the description if that's your cup of tea. And yeah, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.